Or no, it really starts because last time that's what it did. Okay. Hi guys! Back again already. I can never make this go away. Something always pops up. Okay. Mom's visiting this week.
Hi.
Sandra. Up from southern Saskatchewan. And I roped her into doing this with me because I do want to go into the depths or more detail about the effects on the family that this had. Anyone who hasn't seen anything yet, you can check out my profile. Everything's been put up publicly. I'm not focused. Okay, so I'm going to start with the phone calls that I had to make to my family. So the assault happened on March 30th. I had called 911 at 12:25 in the afternoon. The police had my phone overnight. I didn't get it back till mid-afternoon the next day, so I'm not really sure of a lot of the details. I was in shock and I didn't even realize that, and I think I'm only just starting to realize that. I have 3 siblings, and both my parents, and I don't know how I chose the order of making these calls, but for some reason I chose to contact my older brother first. I never asked everyone if I could use their names. I feel like everyone would be okay with that, so if I blurt it out, I'm sure it would be fine. You think so? I think so. Anyway, so I had my older brother call me first, and I will tell you, I was in bed, I was on medication, and I was stitched up and I'm okay now. All the excitement has settled down and, it's just okay, now I'm resting and I'm healing. And so now I have to tell the news to my family. So my brother calls me and as soon as it's the hello, I'm well, what do I even say? How do I bring this up? So I remember that we started out I was like, so how's the family? And he kind of said a few things. I don't talk to my siblings often, but when we do, we usually talk quite a while. I know he didn't say very much, but then I was like, well, I have a story to tell you, and it's pretty crazy. And I know I started really slow and I didn't have much details. I probably said something I was feeding lunch to the boys when I saw a man in the yard and I approached him and he attacked me. And we fought for a few minutes, and then I was able to call 911 and the police came and they got him. I just remember him he, what? Did he hurt you? It was like that. Did he hurt you? I'm like, well, yeah, he hurt me, but I'm okay. Did he hurt you? Yes, I did get hurt, but I will be okay. Everything will heal. That's it. I'm sick of you being out there. You're coming home. You're moving home. That's it. And, I was like, well, I can't. I have my son and his, because that... But he wanted more details about how I was hurt, and I had to say that the knives came into play and that I did get stabbed. And he again, and he was very upset. And I could tell that he wanted to protect me, and I just kept saying, well, they got him, they caught him, like he's in jail, and I will be okay. I'm gonna be okay. And the boys weren't touched, and like, it's okay. I'm really glad that I called him first, I guess. I don't know how it would have gone if I hadn't, but he really helped, like, guide me through telling this to my other family members, because, like I say, I was in shock, and to me it was just to tell you this story, but I'm okay, and life goes on, and, but obviously my older brother could see that it's not just that simple. It was March 31st so it was a Wednesday that I spoke to him, and he said to wait until the end of Friday, because it was Good Friday. The end
of Thursday.
It was going to.
We were going to be off work Friday.
Right, but isn't it Monday that's always the stat?
Friday.
I'm not okay.
Friday. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, my brother wanted me to wait until everybody was done work, right? So that they're not distraught, and and so they could get through the workday. So he suggested wait till the end of the workday. And I liked that plan. I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. And honestly, after speaking to him, like, I think he was probably the longest phone call, probably because it went from the story to helping me figure out how to tell everyone. But after talking to him, like, that was enough for me. So I was glad to not call anyone else. But then the next day, he got in touch with me, like, as soon as I woke up. And he was, I don't know if panic is the word, but he was just concerned that something might come up on Facebook and my family would find out through Facebook before hearing it from me. So he started to suggest that I better call everyone right away. I believe that he and I agreed to call my younger brother first, because my older brother's in Nova Scotia. We're all from New Brunswick. And my little brother lives up the road from my father. So my brother suggested to call him first, so that if Dad was so distraught, my brother could drive him home from work if needed. So I did that. I called my little brother, and I don't remember a whole lot from this call. Each call was a new realization to me about the severity of everything. And I could tell that he was heartbroken. I could tell that he was upset. But my impression, how I feel he felt, is I think he was very upset, but he knows he's too far away to do anything about it. And for him to get upset, like, what good would it do? And perhaps some of that was to protect me as well, not knowing where I'm at and much details of the story or anything. And I explained to him about having to tell Dad, and that he might need to drive him home from work, and that was fine, let me know. So then I called Dad, and he was at work, and I know I kept saying, like, you need to sit down for this. And I don't remember much of this call either. I know it was brief. He was at work, right? I mean, he was very upset, of course. I mean, his little girl had just been unbelievable, you know? I really don't even know what to tell you from that call. I know it was brief. I know he was upset. But it was kind of, you know, I'm going to go back to work and I'll talk to you again later. My friend that was helping, that I was staying with, and he was taking care of me, he explained to every one of my family, everyone, like when I first called my older brother, he got in on the phone call and said, hey, I'm here, she's with me, she's safe, she'll be taken care of. You know, so he helped reassure each family member, and he did the same with my dad, and I remember my dad being so thankful. And I think maybe that maybe gave him the comfort enough to say bye. And I mean, it's a lot to process, so I honestly don't know how he got through the workday, but he did, and he drove himself home. And I know I had text Mom and maybe Christine, my sister, too. And just saying, like, when you have time, I need to tell you something, give me a call. I thought Christine was last, but we were looking through call logs, and maybe she was actually next. And I don't remember much about this call either. I do know it was brief again. And every time I made this call, I got more and more careful with how and what I would say. And she was very quiet. My sister is the sweetest girl, and so gentle and tender, and just loves the children. And, you know, to hear this, I think, I think it was shocking, right? And I was very careful with the details. So I think she was careful with what she would say and what she would ask. And I feel she probably knew that she needed time to digest what I was telling her. It was, I didn't know what to say. And then around supper time, I feel like, I don't know, I don't think I had any concept of time back then, but I remember talking to Mom, and same thing, you know, like how, like for all of them, it's like, well, how are you? You know, and then it's, okay, well, I have a story for you. And it's pretty unbelievable. I think I said that to a few of you. And, Mom, I mean, I don't even know. She was very upset, of course. Again, her baby's been... What? What? Is this real? She would ask a few questions, and, you know, I wanted everyone to know that I'm okay, right? Like, yeah, it sounds terrible, and it looks terrible, but it's okay. And they got him. They caught him. And I am okay. I am hurt, but I will heal, you know? I didn't lose a limb, and the boys weren't touched. That was, you know, that was huge. I don't really know what else to say. I don't even really remember the conversation much. Do you want to?
Want to read what they said first or later?
I was texting with my siblings to let them know that we were going to do this. I really wish that I could have done this with everybody, because all of these videos are very hard for me to do by myself, but every time it is beneficial in ways that I never expected. So I'm going to keep doing it until I don't know. But I do want to read you what they said to me.
This is today.
This is today. So I admitted to them that I don't remember many details. So should I say which sibling or just... So one response was, I didn't want to push because I didn't want to make you relive the experience, but I did ask you some questions until you told me how bad it really was, or most of how bad it was. I found out more over time, but wasn't sure if I should push too hard. We both cried on the phone that day. This is another reply. I was very concerned, lots of questions, then enraged for weeks. Stressed and paranoid to the point of coming out of dead sleep, swinging with a blade in hand, yelling at no one to get out of the house. Another response, it took me a few months to even process that it happened. I'm still processing that it happened. Well, I think we all are. I'll read you too what my dad said. There's nothing that I can think of that I don't want you to say. The big thing for me is that I trust people even less now. I can't believe that his parents are okay with him trying to kill you. Can't believe that they want to appeal. Why do they not want him to pay? And then I made him not think about it anymore and change the subject. But so that's today's responses from them. I know everyone still struggles with it in their own ways. You want to take over?
It's a little bit startling or remarkable. I don't know what the right word is, but just to back up to the day that this happened, March 30th, 2021, I was home for lunch, and Grace texted me a photo of the boys having their lunch that day. Because, and it's just so interesting to me that day she sent this photo, but it happened to be the birthday celebration for Declan, and so the boys were having their special lunch and cupcakes on the counter, and Grace sent me those photos at 12:06, I think.
12:06 is when the picture was taken, and I sent it within minutes.
Right. So around 12:06 p.m. that day, and everything was just so normal. And I know you mentioned this too earlier about how when you look at pictures on your phone, there are those photos, and then the next thing are the photos of a bruised face and stitches everywhere, and it's always startling to flip through and go from the normal happy birthday, and then minutes after she sent that photo, this man came at her. And then the next photos are the aftermath of that.
And I'll just say that, like, as I took that photo that she's referring to, the noise outside the wall was happening at that moment. I was hearing it and dismissing it to the neighbors.
So I, of course, knew nothing that was happening while I was eating my lunch, and went back to work having no idea. It was two evenings later that Grace called me with her story, and I think you did say the same thing to me about it being, you have a story to tell me, and it's unbelievable. And I don't remember the specific things you said, really. I don't remember what I said. I remember sitting on my couch listening. I remember that you spoke very carefully and gently and hesitantly.
I didn't know how much to say.
So kind of testing the waters, and we would say a little bit and then a little bit more. I don't remember what questions I asked. I know I asked a few, but there were so many that I thought of that I didn't dare ask, and I couldn't ask. I also remember your friend reassuring that you were in good hands, and that was such a comfort. I knew that at least for now we didn't have to worry. And I remember that you gave a little more detail gradually, a little bit more and a little bit more. When it seems to me it was a long phone call. I would guess 45 minutes, maybe.
I think we talked a while.
Yeah.
I do remember my older brother had recommended, well, he pretty much demanded that I don't share pictures with anyone. And I held on to that.
I think you mentioned it in that call even, that you were not sending pictures yet.
And I sensed, even from your reply, whatever the reply was, but I sensed that you were disappointed. But I wasn't ready to share, and I liked that my brother kind of gave me permission to keep that for now.
I think I told you not to worry about that until you were ready. That whenever you were ready, I was fine with that. But I didn't want you to rush into something that you just weren't ready yet to share. After that call, I mean, all through the call, but after too, I was just shocked. Couldn't absorb it. Couldn't take it in. When I went to bed, I couldn't sleep. Of course, I mean, it was on my mind all night. When I finally did sleep, it was a light, very troubled sleep, but I just kept seeing it as I imagined it must have happened. I just kept seeing it over and over. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it over and over. And I just couldn't imagine that a crime like this had touched our family. I remember thinking that over and over, like this is us, this is my family, this is my daughter, and Um, 2 days later was Saturday, and I was still just so thrown by it. I went for a walk around town and just wandered in a daze. I was just in a daze, just all of this going through my head and still not able to sort it or absorb it. And it really, it was months, 5-6 months before that there was a bit of release of that constant steady grip of the whole thing, just all the time on my mind. And
You came to visit.
Yes, I came the first weekend in May. I don't remember how long before you, I guess after that first phone call, it was, I don't know, a week maybe 2 later that we finally did a video call. And so I believe that was the first I saw.
I think it was within the first week. I feel like we went through the weekend after, and I feel like through the weekend I had realized, you know, you've heard the story now, and, you know, we've talked a few times, so I started to realize, well, you know, your imagination must be crazy.
Yes.
So I had decided, whenever I thought about that, I decided I'm not going to send a picture. I want to do a video call so that you can see my character and that I'm still here and I have expression and I'm still alive and moving and breathing and I'm okay. And I didn't want this tragic picture to show up and just be the still life of...
Right. Because on that first call, when you spoke so carefully, but you also sounded, you sounded calm, and you sounded like you were okay.
I was high on painkillers.
You were high on painkillers, but I didn't know that yet. But that was kind of the reassurance that I hung on to, and then as you told more and more and more, I realized that this was significant. It wasn't just one little lash out, but you sounded okay, so I still kept hanging on to that, right?
But grateful to hear that, because that was
but the imagination goes into overdrive. So we did that video call, and then you sent pictures.
Yeah, then I felt okay to send pictures.
And then I came to visit.
I felt a lot better after doing the video calls with both you and Dad. Because I did want to share the pictures, but I needed you guys mostly to know that I was okay. But it was only a week before I'm saying, oh, by the way, they let him go.
Oh. Yeah, because that was one of the reassurances was that, okay, they got him, and
he's gonna rot in jail is what we all thought. I assume that's what we thought. I had only been moved back into the house maybe a week. Like, I think you came the weekend after. I don't even know.
It was the first weekend in May.
Yeah, so, but it was the end of April that I had gone back to the house, and I knew that I would want this because I'm pretty sure, yeah, I have it open right to the page. I'm pretty sure on the night, by the April 19th, I had gone back to the house. So maybe I was there for 2 weeks. Because it says April 30th at midnight, Mom arrived. We were up till 2. I did good on notes and I didn't do good on notes, so some is great and some isn't, but so April 30th you'd come. I'm not even sure how long you stayed.
Till Sunday.
And it was
a Friday night or a Thursday night, and I left Sunday.
It was wonderful to have someone come visit, and we did a project while Mom was there. It was pretty disgusting, actually, and I actually considered going through it before doing this video to refresh my memory, but I might do that for another, because that's not the family impact focus. So what we did is I wanted to walk through the whole house and walk through everything that had happened and tell the story and walk through it and video it. And I didn't really know who I trusted to do that with. Well, I didn't have anyone in mind. Nobody. I knew I didn't want the family that I lived with to be home for that. So the fact that Mom was there, we took advantage of them. They must have gone out for something.
They'd gone out, yes. We took the boys, both of them.
Yeah. And I just remember, I always had my hair tied up in this side bun because this hand was in the splint. Always. I only took it out of the... No, I had to wrap it in a bag for a shower. It was a very slow process with the splint. But anyways, my hand was in a splint, and I don't know if you can tell how long this stuff is. It was always... Anyway, I'm describing too much. Wearing a robe and going around in this silly hairdo, and we started in the backyard right at the fence, and we walked through the garage. And I'll say I wasn't excited to do this with Mom because I had been holding details back. And I knew that doing this walkthrough, I needed on the video every detail. So I did say a lot. And it's a lot of the details that I actually forgot to tell you when I said I'm not censoring.
It was intense.
I'm sure it was quite intense to walk through it. Mm-hmm. Through the house and feel that and see me and feel me and imagine and to hear more than I had let on. Mm-hmm. I'm very glad that we did that because I don't know if I would have shared those details. I'm kind of glad it poked that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's what happened. So I think it helped.
I think it helped both of us.
I was gonna say I think it helped me be able to use you for comfort because now I'm not guarded by anything. I'm not.
Yeah, and as hard as it was to hear and intense energy to do it, but I think it helped me too. It helped me know, it helped me know the story. So then it was out. And
less
it was
imagination.
And it was therapy.
Imagination can be terrible in such a...
Yes. Yeah.
So that was in May, and the journey since then, I mean, Mom's definitely the one that I've been closest with in regards to this, mostly because we were closest in distance wise and were able to visit. Didn't I go down and visit you at one point? And then I drove all the way to Christine's,
Yes.
my
Yep.
sister. Sorry, see, I knew they would come out, but I think they're okay.
Yeah, you made a couple of visits to me. I made a couple of visits to you throughout the summer. Summer and fall.
Man, it feels like so long ago, but you know, we're only just coming up to the year anniversary, and I'm actually a little bit nervous about that. And maybe it'll sail on through and I won't even think about it. But I don't know. Okay, so I feel like I should have more to say, like with the effect on my father. He and I talk a lot on the phone. He's in New Brunswick. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen either of my brothers or their families. I even have a nephew I haven't met. But it's definitely been hard to not be able to go and just to hug them and to feel, you know, life. And I can't even imagine for my father. I can't imagine for my mother, but at least we've been able to spend time together. And my dad's pretty soft, so it takes him a lot to be able to get through this stuff, and I don't like to bring him down. I mean, and then, there's extended family too, calling the grandparents. That was... And then it's not just them too, it's also friends, right? So I'm kind of in hiding over this, and then all of a sudden I get a text from a friend, and it's, you want to go for coffee or whatever, I don't even know, but it's like, well, actually, and that's when I would send a picture of myself and be like, hey, and yeah, this is what happened, and oh man, my guts just spin. I have such whew. Do you have more you wanna?
No, I think unless you have questions.
We discussed this a few times, but every time we do, we're like, I don't remember what we said, and we don't write anything down, even though we say we will. But we did want to, I say we, but this is me. Like, I need to do this. This has been great. And all of your guys' feedback and everything, so I just keep going. But I decided that I did want to show you more of the stuff that I hadn't before, and I already kind of pulled this out. There's not really more to see, but that's the splint that I had on my hand for at least until 14 weeks. It might have been 12, but 12 weeks for sure. I don't know why 14 weeks is in my head. And then I could start to take it off to do like light duties and stuff, but like I had to use it to sleep in, and you know, if I was doing anything where I'm not able to like baby my hand. I do find it funny. I know you won't be able to see through the camera, but actually, if I ever do share some pictures with you, maybe someday I'll put a slideshow together. I don't know. That sounds artistic and frustrating. But anyways, in this, you can see how bubbled up the back of it is, and that's from the swelling in my hand and how much the swelling had come down. But like I'm saying, if I share some of the pictures, I have a picture of my hand from one of the first appointments and how swollen that was back there. Yeah, so that's that. But I decided that I want to open the rest of the evidence with you because I haven't seen it yet. And I'm like, I don't think it's going to be very much. We already looked at the hoodie. I'm just going to skip what we've already looked at. But I just realized that maybe it might be of some significance in some way. So I'm going to start with the ashtray. How about that? And I actually meant to grab a dish or something to pour it into, because I imagine it's going to be yucky.
Go get something.
Well, I don't even know what I have handy. It's okay. We'll just take a look at what we're looking at. So I'll just recap on the ashtray. So before the knives got involved, we were in the garage, and he had me in a chokehold that pulled me onto the chair in his lap. And I can't even explain the fumes I had to sit in this guy's lap. So I very quickly was looking for some way to get out of this guy's grip. And the nearest thing for me to grab was this plastic ashtray, and I teased the homeowner that she needs to get a glass, like old-fashioned glass one for me. I just don't know how much full of ashes it'll be. So it's plastic. And it's shattered, okay? So I smashed, this is broken because I smashed it like this on his head, sideways. So I'm quite pleased to see how well I disintegrated it. Mm-hmm. I am very, very convinced that this ashtray is what... The camera's opposite, so I never know how you're looking. But this ring finger on my right hand has a significant scar. I'm not even going to try and show on the screen because whatever. But it was huge, thick scar tissue. It is starting to go down better. It's not so irritable. It is doing well. I do scrape that scar once in a while, and yeah, I definitely feel it. It is the knuckle in this middle finger that I can still feel the swelling in it. It just constantly gets flared up in some way. So I'm pleased about that. I did see his pictures in the hospital, and I did see that I cut his head. I didn't do as much damage as I would have liked, but I am satisfied with seeing what I did. I don't know what all I have here. Oh, holy crap, believe me, there's more than I thought. Oh, I'm so interested. Okay, well, we'll just go in order then, because I don't know how to order it. This is another article of clothing. I am not shy to say I was menstruating at the time, and I had this pair of shorts on underneath. Oh, well, wow, they're still white. Not even a drop got through. So I was wearing these underneath my jammy pants. They're totally usable. Well, let's put them back in there. Not even the pair I thought I'd been wearing. Oh, wow. This is probably nothing. These are my socks. These are... I want to say they're Dallas's socks. Well, I would have left footprints. see-through socks that would look like bare feet, right?
Somewhat.
Yep, they're mine. Ew. And they're definitely bottom soaked in blood. Like, it's stiff in there. I don't know if you wanna... Oh. You know, I always feel like I'm... Like, we looked at the hoodie and stuff the other night, and I love that hoodie. Like, I think I'm gonna get it fixed. That might be weird. I don't care what you think. People wear a lot of weird things. This is part of the knife handle, so this is what actually interests me. Because, like I told you, so I grabbed a hold of the blade in this hand, and that's what caused all of that severing. And he pushed down. He glared at me like, and I know in my head I chuckled at him because I wasn't gonna let it go, and I didn't. He broke the handle off the knife. Now, if you haven't seen this stuff already, go back to the first video. At the end, I went through all the evidence, and if you look at the knives, some of the knives, the brands of knives, there's no way the handle would have broke off. You know, it's a full tang knife. Thank goodness. See, these are all the blessings and all the angels that were guiding us that day. That these angels gave us one that would break. So it must have, that must be like, let's open, this is this is the handle, so let's see how that fits together. Oh, I'm just shaking. I do have a knife on me. I don't know why I'm struggling to rip all this stuff, but I'm very curious at all of their police markings and such. No, definitely that way. So it would have fit on there. I guess I should have maybe brought the blade out to see it together, but it doesn't matter. I'm so glad that it broke. I do remember that after it broke off, I think he initially thought that I let it go, and I think he thought that he had the knife again, because he started going at my head again with the handle. He started banging, and it actually hurt more than the knife. And I mean, it would have been like this, right? That's what would have been catching me in the head, going at me. You can see there's blood in there. Because he started going at me with the handle again, that's when I was like, okay, well, I got this in my hand, and it was embedded in my hand. I wasn't going to let it go. It was a part of my hand by this point, and I didn't know what it looked like either, what the blade looked like, but I knew it stuck out both ends of my hand, so I started going at him too. Just, if you're going to keep going at me, it's my turn to do something. But that got him very angry, of course, and he threw the handle on the floor because he realized that I had the blade, and I don't think he realized how much that actually hurt, but he threw that on the floor, and he got a hold of my hand and squeezed my hand while you can have that. You can just set those aside if you want.
You want to stack them together?
Sure. This is the tank top that I was wearing that day. So I'm curious about like knife nicks in this. I'm saving this one for last, and I'll bet you it's going to be the most disappointing one. Oh yeah, she's stiff too. Oh, just 1 second. Whew. They must have cut it off me. Yeah, okay. That's why I had to stop for a second. It just seemed like he shredded me, but it's them cutting it off. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm just gonna flip around here. So there are a lot. There's a hole here. There's one there, one there, one there. Now I had a sweater over this, if you remember, but it's very interesting to see that. I did want to see, it would have been on this side, but they might have cut right through it. Here's a good one, but let's put this over, because I was really curious about, oh yeah, it would be on this side, yeah, because I wanted to know about the jab on under my breast. There's a little hole there, but it's pretty stiff there in the front. Yeah, I don't need that one. I don't know why that one's gotten so shook up. This one, just like the sweater, these were my favorite pair of jammy pants. I got them for Christmas. Just before that, actually, from my son's father. There's a lot of stiffness in this one too. Ugh. I kind of really wondered if I could wash them and use them again because they were so warm and cozy. So you can see blood drips on the ties. Oh, blood drips all down the leg.
That's more than drip.
More than drip.
More than drip.
Both legs, but I wanted to see if he put a hole in my crotch. It was a very, very weak attempt with the knife, but he tried stabbing me in the crotch, and I thought, what the heck is wrong with this guy? Like, what do you want? But I realized later, after processing, that he probably wasn't trying to damage me down there. I think he was trying to cut a hole for his access. Because it wasn't till after he tried stabbing my crotch when I had slid down off the sink. See, I missed the detail that I started smashing dishes on his head. I grabbed every dish from the dish rack and just started hitting one after the other, which made him distraught enough that I slipped down off the sink onto the floor, and that's when I noticed his pants were on the floor. And I was confused, but it didn't take me long to be like, oh, ring-a-ding! They're so soft and cozy. But I always thought that the fact that I had these thick jammy pants and that thick hoodie is a lot why he was unsuccessful with a lot of his attempts. just to say I don't see a pick in the crotch. That's not to say that I'm not missing it. There's a lot of blood around here, but it was a weak attempt. So that's all the evidence between this video, this is my 4th video, and the first video. You can see all the evidence. I do have some pictures. I will do the ATIP request and get the rest of them. I think it's a major violation of my privacy for them to have my pictures and say, no, you have to go through this form to get it. I started to apply for it, but they want, it's a government thing, right? They want all kinds of stuff, and then I gotta prove who I am to do it. They want like digital pictures of my signature and all kinds of stuff, proving it's me signing it on this day. It's always ends up being too much, and I do not doubt that the system sets it up to discourage us from getting what we need. Oh, victims have no standing. Just go home. Just go home, you know? No! I will fight. I am going to go through the procedure and get these things. But I think it's a huge violation. At the end of all this, like, they closed the police file, so hand it to me. Here, Grace, this is everything we've got. There's all your pictures. I mean, you gave me the evidence. Why can't I have my pictures? I want to make it clear it's not the officer that says no. She wanted to give me everything. Many of them did. That, you know, but everybody's in a box and they can't reach outside the box. We kind of rushed into doing this tonight because I wanted to do it later in the week, but I just realized this evening that tomorrow morning is the appeal hearing. And I mean, it's hard enough to focus on anything as it is, so I just didn't know how that would throw me, and I wanted to focus on family impact. So again, you can look forward to the update to find out what the appeal is. And I can't even tell you, I don't even have an instinct on what this is gonna reveal. Not a flippin' clue. I mean, I expect him to come home because we gotta take care of this man. Let's get him back to class. He's missing class. He's gotta catch up. I can't wait to 6 years from now and I go to some business and here's my assailant sitting there in a suit. How can I help you today? Going for a bank loan, or I mean, I don't know what. But contribute to society. I don't even know. Every one of my family has been very supportive. Every one of them says, call me if you need anything, if you need to talk, or my sister gets so upset with, well, I shouldn't say so upset. I shouldn't say that. We are not twins, but we are definitely sisters, because when I am plummeted and at the bottom and just at my worst, bleep, bleep, here's Christine, my sister. Is everything okay? No? How did you know? Just a guess, she says. And then we'll have a phone call and she'll say like, hey, you're supposed to call me when you feel like I know. Some of it is that it's like everyone says, you gotta move on. Well, how do I interrupt your good day to dig all this up again? I don't. It's hard.
Moving on takes time, a lot of time, and it's different for everybody. And you can't fit into somebody else's box.
Try it. I wanted to say though, as like a trauma, like I was clueless, absolutely. I was ignorant, and I probably didn't care, and that discourages me to think of how I was, because I assume that many of you are in that boat, because we all have our challenges, but it's like I said in the second video, don't compare your story to anyone, because trauma is trauma, and simply getting the news of something so horrific can cause as much PTSD as what I might be experiencing. Like I can't diminish what you're going through. I don't know how it affects you. I'm using you as an example, just looking at you. Well, and still to that point in a way, but nobody knows how it or anything will directly affect you, and just the news of something can cause PTSD. A lot of my friendships have shifted since this, and I'm not going to say it's because of this. I've grown and changed, and I have such a different look and value to life. And it's changed me a lot. So people who no longer fit with me, I've let them fall off, as heartbreaking as a lot of them have been. And there's still a lot that we don't talk, and we probably never will, but I can't. I got other things. Anyways, what I was gonna say, like, I've met new people since then, and this has traumatized some of... I have two ladies in my mind, particularly, that I can see that this has caused them so much trauma that they even can't function. Before I got to read my impact statement at the January hearing, and I was tying it up. It was after we worked on it, and I was finalizing things. I was having a chat with one of these ladies, and she just kept bringing up these points, like, I don't know how you go shopping, and I go out and I'm like, is it him? Is it him? And and always locking the door, and making sure the knives are put away, and like the trauma in her face, like this has severely traumatized people that I didn't even know before. Like, they didn't even know me before to see the change from who I was to who I am now. They just see this and hear that story, and they're traumatized. And I don't belittle that at all. It's a big deal. unbelievable story, and I hope it will never happen to anyone else. And my Choose Happiness video, I say, don't live in fear. And I forgot about one response in particular that I received, and I still haven't replied to it. But it's a mom, and you know, and she's in fear, and you know, like, she wasn't home. She had heard about it when it happened, but she wasn't home. But her daughter was. I don't know why 13 is in my head. Whether she was 13, I'm not sure. But her daughter was home and not her. So she's traumatized, thinking, you know, if he had gone into their house, and it's only her daughter at home, you know. And I want to say, don't live in fear, because this is unbelievable. It can happen, and I want you to be aware of that. I want you to be aware of your present and your surroundings and the risks. But don't focus on those things. Focus on what is in front of you and the joys that you do have. If you focus on those fears and the what ifs, you're going to miss so much. So much. And, you know, like, I struggle with that, like, simply as noises outside and the dog barking at shadows outside. A lot of times I'm like, no, it's okay. You don't have to investigate everything. But as soon as I get to that point, it's like, well, as soon as you dismiss it, it's something you need to look at. So then I go and check. But, you know, but that's part of being aware of your surroundings, and, you know, but don't dwell on it. Like, you know, I have to check, but at least now I can, it is just a deer. It was a shadow. Jack, go to sleep. You know, life does go on, and I do look forward to that. It's how they've drugged this on with him, Dallas, afterwards. That's the most.
Yeah.
There's no healing. It's like, okay,
There's no closure. There's no end, and.
Yeah, you know, we had the comfort that he's been caught. Oh, no. Just kidding. Haha. He's at the grocery store. And then, you know, like, the board did in fact decide to put him in for a proper evaluation. You know, they recognized that they only had 4 hours of video to refer to with him. And I said this to the Crown, who's going to be representing this tomorrow. Totally a new guy, I don't know. So that's why I have no idea which way this is going to go. But I said, and I totally lost my train of thought. Shoot. See? Something about the Crown. Oh, about the videos, and that it was 4 hours of video call, and I said they don't, like, to do it from his home where he's sitting in front of the computer. I said, you're not even putting him through any stressors. And I'm hung up on this because I have to go out and deal with the stuff. I have to keep myself together and tote along my son and whatever. And I have to go through these stressors. I have to put the trauma aside and, you know, go through the traffic and the weather and the COVID and all this to do whatever I have to do, whether it's an appointment or just groceries and living life or whatever it is. And this guy is being evaluated for his risk to society by staying at home where he's comfy and doesn't have to face the stress of traffic, doesn't have to go through COVID. Here's another point. I want you to know that they say that he's not aware. Okay? He was aware enough that when he chased that boy into the convenience store, he was wearing a mask. So he does know about the policies that are going on and that he needed to wear a mask. He had disposed of the mask somewhere between the store and my place. I never saw a sign of the mask. I also wanted to let you know that they have never, ever once done a drug test on him. They did say in the January hearing that they took a urine sample at the hospital at ER that day, but it was insubmissible. Why? Anyways, I had said to him, they're not putting him through any stressors, and he said to me, well, just because he's in the hospital, they're not going to push him to stress him out either. And I said, that's not my point. At least in the hospital, you're spending time with him every day. You're seeing him all the time. He's not in his comfy home with mommy and daddy. He's in an element that is a bit of a stressor, and you're evaluating him every day. Like, you're escorting him every day. You're watching him every day. And maybe he won't show anything. Maybe he isn't a risk. Maybe the meds do work. I don't know. I'm not arguing that. I have to rely on our professionals, but so far our professionals have been nothing professional, in my opinion. I keep saying I could never have graduated from high school if I put the effort into my schoolwork as these professionals have done. The judge, the Crown, the psychiatrists, AHS dropped the ball many times for him to get evaluations done, and we have no idea, things get dropped through the cracks. And yeah, I do know that happens, but why does it always happen with my case? I'm ranting now. See, every single one will come to this. This is about the impact on family. I really wish I could have had the rest of my family, because I would have liked to have stayed out of it, to be honest, and let you guys talk as the family, I guess. I don't know. I want you to see how much it affects others. And I don't doubt that some of you are affected, just as my girlfriends that I have in mind that are, and it's very delicate. It's a delicate balance now, because yes, you do need to be aware of the risks. And I do insist that learning self-defense, I don't know what else to recommend. You need a basic knowledge of that skill. Work on your mind and taming your mind in stressful situations. That's one thing I keep saying at when we're practicing. It's the pressure, it's the stress, it's the shock that this is happening, the unbelievable. I'm ranting again. This is about family impact.
I was always struck by how much you were able to reason and think through and react appropriately during this attack.
I'm glad you say that, because I feel like it took me way too long. It is very interesting to do self-defense now and learn the simple, you want to guard your neck. And that's very easy for me to remember because the scar is there and I want it guarded. and just block that blow, man. But, you know, I hope I never have to use it again, but at least it gives me confidence and the justice minister wanted to work on a project with me. He wanted me to help. I don't really know how to say what he want. He just suggested to me that he had wanted to allow us to carry tasers, and I'm not sure if he was specific to women on that when he presented this to me, but he wanted to bring in legalized tasers for self-defense. And I shut him down. I said, I'm not interested in that at all, because I was in my jammies. Like, I love knives. I have a big collection of knives. There's a lot of this that's ironic. But I didn't have a single knife on me. And, yeah, a taser would have been downstairs in my room, in my bag, you know, or in the car. You need self-defense. That's all you have all the time. Self-defense, and work on your mind, your mental clarity. You need to put yourself in stressful situations and be able to settle yourself down to focus and read the situation and what's going on. I'm sure we're going to think of so much after this. Maybe we will do another one Thursday or Friday, and maybe we will talk about the appeal. I like having someone else with me. She has witnessed how much anxiety I go through doing this.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you...
I think we've covered it quite well.
Okay. Well, like always, I just want to cut it off, because then I'll sit here and hum and haw, and time is ticking. And I always appreciate that you take the time to listen to me. And thanks for joining me, Mom.
Anytime.
And yeah, well, we might do it again after the appeal. Well, we'll see. Can you imagine if we forgot tomorrow? Okay. Bye, guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you again soon. If ever you have any questions, please, I'm open, and I love the direction and to know where you're at and what you want to know. It helps me. Okay. Good night, guys. Take care.
Night.
Safe travels.